the
Did they
elementary.
discuss it?
Good stuff.
Was any executive
Yeah,
session?
what's
I can't take this
certain
on.
parts we're bringing forward.
Is there some-
She has a good place to get them
Bring
from.
it forward, almost like-
Are we all ready?
We're ready.
For the flag salute, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Claudia?
Here.
Annette? Barbara? Here. Alan?
Here.
Tracy Ellen?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
John? Here. Doug?
Here.
Al?
Here.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this regular meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place sent to the Record and the Star Ledger newspapers, the borough clerks, and the borough libraries, as well as posting in school district principal offices, faculty rooms, and the board office. According to New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, the smoking or use of any tobacco product is strictly prohibited anywhere in the public school buildings or anywhere on school grounds, including but not limited to the parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100.
Do you not want to?
No, you can. You can.
The mission of the Riverdale Regional School District is to provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach their potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and other, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and an ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the New Jersey student learning standards.
Thank you, Tracy Ellen. Let's jump into public comments on agenda items only. And I see we have nobody sitting out there, so we'll just jump right into the presentation for tonight. Trudy, I'll have you introduce our guest.
This is William Swisher. He's our auditor. This is his first time doing our audit.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank Trudy, Dr. Albro, for all the help they gave in doing our audit. Everything going through an audit, especially our first time doing it. Everybody was very cooperative, so we really appreciate that. You have two reports in front of you tonight for consideration.
You're recorded, so it's not for us. It's for the
You have two reports in front of you tonight for your consideration. The bigger report, that is your annual comprehensive financial report. In here, these are your financial statements. We compile those financial statements from the records in Trudy's office. You also have your notes to your financial statements and other subsidiary schedules that the Department of Education requires us to have in the audit. The main goal of our audit is to render opinion on those financial statements, and in the front of the audit report is our audit opinion. Most districts receive either a modified opinion or an unmodified opinion. A modified opinion would be if we had any issues with some of the numbers in there that we didn't think they were fairly stated. We may have to have a modification of our opinion. I'm happy to report this past year we had no modifications at all, so you have an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, which is the opinion everybody's looking for. You also have a single audit opinion in the ACFR. That's a separate opinion where we have to review your federal and state grants. Any district that spends more than $750,000 for federal or state funds has to have a specific audit for those. Once again, we did our audit and had no findings and recommendations. The second report you guys have for consideration is the Auditor's Management Report. That's the smaller of the two reports. That is a report that the New Jersey Department of Education requires us to put together. They give us 9 areas to concentrate and look at, things like your payroll, your purchasing, your application for state school aid. We review those, audit those, and if we have any findings or recommendations, they would be listed out in the AMR report. Once again, happy to report there are no findings and no recommendations. So overall, a clean AMR and a clean ACFR, so it's basically the best news you can get for your audit. Is there any specific questions anybody has I can answer for you?
See it continue. Trudy, thank you very much, and you and your staff.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
We should keep.
I
Absolutely.
mean, this is your first time here at Riverdale, so thank you very much as well. But as I had mentioned, it's been this way for quite some time, so we're not surprised at your report. Does anyone have any questions or anything?
Kudos to Judy to continuing the tradition.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you and your staff. A lot of work.
Can only go down from here, Judy.
Great.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Good night.
So we go right into a vote. May I have a motion to vote on the audit?
Make the motion.
Stephanie with Alan.
Who was first?
Stephanie made the motion and Alan was second. We'll go right into the vote since nobody had any questions, so.
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Al?
Yes. Okay, we can hop right into our student member report. Melissa?
This is our middle school report for the month of November. On November 30th, Ms. Rivas' class participated with over 60 schools from around the world in an international Kahoot. About 4,000 students participated in a pop culture challenge with the goal to remind our students that it doesn't matter about race, religion, or anything else. We are more alike than we are different. We are united by pop culture. There were 2 games being played simultaneously, and we came in first, second, and third in the first game, and also took first in the second game. The following students placed: first, Teddy Schwanweed; second, Ryan Bosbally; third, Sandra Terrasio; first, Matt Brooks in the second game. Congratulations to the RDMS November Hawk Spotlight recipients: Alicia Adriano, Zonar Ben Yosef, Tyler Hodge, Nathaniel Ionsi, Jack Leahy, Colette Matolinsky, Emily Park, and William Rubb. These students were recommended by staff members for modeling the type of behavior we hope to see as examples of positive character we talk about at RDMS. Way to go, Hawks. The middle school winter concert will be held this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mr. Kennedy has been working very hard with the 7th grade band, the 7th grade chorus, the 8th grade band, and the 8th grade chorus as they prepare to dazzle family members and help put everyone in the holiday spirit. Currently, the middle school is offering 2 opportunities to help those in need during the holiday season. The 7th grade and 8th grade coat drive is underway and will end mid-January. In addition, the Spanish Honor Society is running a dry bean, offering students and staff a chance to guess the amount of beans in a jar for $1 or a donation of dried beans. All proceeds will go to the Bergen County Food Brigade.
So now for the high school report. Mr. Sasso's sports management classes took a trip to MetLife to participate in Jet Sports Business Day. This is a unique opportunity for students to learn from Jet's staff members about what it's like working in the sports industry. The Italian Honor Society visited ICN radio station in Norwood and went live on air in Italy. This is a very cool opportunity for both students and teachers involved. The senior class held a successful volleyball tournament fundraiser for the whole school. It was a very fun way to get the whole school engaged and support the class of 2024. The RDHS Drama Club had a successful fall play of 12 Angry Jurors. Congrats to Mr. Wilson and all students involved. Winter sports started last week. Good luck to all student athletes and coaches this season. RDTV continued their great work with a popular series, Roaming Riverdale, with guest appearances by senior Andrew Capuano, our new student assistance counselor, Mr. Giorgio, and junior Emily Semino. We had a very nice open house a few weeks ago. Thanks to all teacher clubs, teachers, administrators, and coaches who came to show what the school has to offer. Therapy Dogs visited the high school a few weeks ago and will continue coming once a month for the rest of the school year. The school newspaper, Redelian, released the fall and winter editions. Thanks to the students and Ms. Magzuga for putting this together. Congrats to all the students who performed in Nutcracker this weekend in the auditorium. This event is not sponsored by the school, but there's many Oradell and River Edge students performing. We also hosted the North Jersey Robotics Tournament on Sunday in the gymnasium. Thank you to Dr. Houston for providing this experience to over 20 schools in the area. Thanks to the robotics team for great performance. Upcoming events: good luck to all the students performing a winter concert on the 21st, Break a Leg. The second annual Hawk Day is on the 22nd. This is a cool day for the students to pick up their unique interest that teachers are hosting to make for a new learning experience. And finally, as many of you know, the much anticipated referendum votes tomorrow. I can talk on behalf of all student body who believe that these upgrades are very necessary to continue the positive learning environment at Riverdale right now and in the future.
We agree.
Thank you. Okay, my report tonight is just, I just want to offer a thank you to everybody on the board, Frank included. This is an obvious, the referendum that is finally going to vote tomorrow. This has been a long process. You know, we as a board have had, I would say, the last 3 years, you know, coming out of COVID into a superintendent search, and, you know, the referendum, which was kind of started by Patrick, you know, and Frank, and Dr. Albro here is going to bring it to the finish line for us. But there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work to get this done, and it's kind of a sigh of relief. I think we all have a very positive feeling. I hope that everyone gets out there tomorrow and votes. We can't tell you which way to vote, but it's pretty obvious which way we want you to vote. I think it will benefit the students of this district greatly. So thank you to everybody, you know, around the table. It's been a lot of hard work, and looking forward to tomorrow. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And pass it along to you, Dr.
Okay.
Albro.
Good evening, everyone. Just to dovetail a little bit on what Jonah was talking about, I happened to go to the Nutcracker yesterday, and he's correct in pointing out that it's not one of our productions, but we have several, at least half a dozen students from Riverdale participating, and I was absolutely blown away. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting, you know, kind of a run-of-the-mill school production. This was beyond what I expected. I was very happy that I brought my wife. She was reluctant, but very happy after she saw it. In fact, she was still talking about it this morning, and she made a point to me. She said, you have to find all those kids and congratulate them personally, which I have been doing today, and I will continue to do tomorrow when I find them all. So if you have not seen it in the past, it's not our production, but it represents our students in many ways, and it's a great piece of art and culture here in our district. Mr. Feigeson brought up artificial intelligence at our last meeting, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. If you notice, the gallery art here in the Hawks Cafe and throughout the library has changed for this month, and the theme is actually AI-influenced art. And if you look at the pieces that you see here, they all have little pieces of artificial intelligence in them. So I defy you to find where the artificial intelligence begins and ends, because it's quite intriguing to look at it and try to figure that out. I certainly can't on some of these. Some of them I could, but some of them I could not. So I want to commend Mrs. Adicino's classes and her students for putting that together. I'm very happy to display it. To that end, a number of our administrators attended today. Mr. DeLaura and our principals and Dr. Torres, on behalf of Language Arts and Social Studies, attended a seminar today, an all-day seminar on artificial intelligence instruction in the classroom, how it can be utilized, the pitfalls, obviously, of AI, but also how to embrace it and to incorporate it into the curriculum. So we're taking our first steps into welcoming it into our district so that it can be a useful tool for our students. And the fact is our students are already using it in their own way, and our teachers are already using it and starting to incorporate it. So it's important that we get ahead of it as much as we can as all of this is coming out. If you might have noticed through some professional organizations that there's a lot of information coming out on artificial intelligence. We have a number of staff members being approved to go to Texpo in January, and I would say 2/3 of it is about artificial intelligence and uses in the classroom and ways to mitigate that. So I'm looking forward to the information they bring back. I've asked Mr. DeLaura, our assistant superintendent, to start putting together a committee of administrators, teachers, and students to start talking about philosophical uses of AI in the classroom and to start to troubleshoot some things as we go along and figure out ways that we can provide professional development to our staff on how to use artificial intelligence in their classroom and for their students' learning to the benefit of their students. So it's an exciting time. It's also a daunting task, you know, when something new like this comes in, but the possibilities are endless, and regardless of what we do, it's here, and it's going to be here, and it's going to continue to be here. So it's important that we learn as much as we can about it. So that'll be coming up, and I hope to report more to you in the next couple of months and weeks and months on what we find as we move along. And finally, just to echo what our president has talked about, it's been much longer for you than it has been for me, the referendum process. But I'm very proud of what the board has put forward to the public. I think it's a responsible referendum that addresses a lot of needs, and I think the work that the board has done in putting this together and preparing it for the presentation to the public and the transparency with which they presented it to the public is to be commended, and I do commend you for that. I hope that the voting public will see the value in the work that you've done and the benefit to our students. We have a chance here to kind of change the direction of our district and our facilities, certainly, that do influence learning for the next 20 to 30 years with a simple vote tomorrow. So hopefully everyone does come out and vote their conscience and vote in an informed way, and hopefully it goes our way. And thank you all for your work on that.
Jim, does any district have a policy in place, or is
No, I have not
developing a
seen,
policy for AI?
I did reach out through my organization, my association, to see if there are policies. There are no policies, but there are some districts who have adopted philosophy on it. So I'm starting to gather that information so that we can start to develop our own. I reached out to New Jersey school boards to see if they've developed policy. They have not yet, but I'm sure that's something that's going to be coming.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, committee reports. I'll just run down the committees and you can tell me what has happened, if anything. Doug, Budget and Finance?
We have not met again.
Okay, Facilities and Security, John?
No meeting yet.
Community Relations and Tech, Alan?
No.
Okay. Curriculum, Annette?
No, nothing to report.
Okay, Policy and Governance, Barbara?
Nothing to report.
Okay, with the exception of the second reading tonight, I believe, right? We have two policies. Okay, good. Let's move into the consent agenda then. May I have a motion, please?
We'll make a motion.
Stephanie and Claudia. Okay, I'll start because I just had a question or two on a couple things here. One is under 13, Finance and District Operation K. Be it resolved that the Riverdale Regional School District approves the withdrawal of $162,000 from the maintenance reserve for numerous repairs in the district. Any funds remaining at completion will be returned to the maintenance reserve, which has a current balance of $869,879 before withdrawal. I would just like to know, Trudy, what is earmarked for this $162,000?
Whiteboards in both schools being replaced, new lights in the TV studio, HVAC repairs, the remodeling of the Y, and numerous pumps, including boiler pumps.
Okay. Was there any reserve left?
Right now, before this withdrawal is 869, so subtract out the 162.
Oh, you used the whole 162, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
And
got
then
it.
at the end of the year, if there's anything that's left, that money has to go back to maintenance reserve.
Okay. There were a couple of things, what's the word I'm looking for? School trips on here. And I know one board member, wrote that one of the trips looked kind of like a vacation itinerary. And I had a conversation with Dr. Albro that, and you read somewhere, maybe you can explain, I think we should have some kind of report post-trip
Yeah,
from students that are on the trip as to what kind of educational.
There is an international trip, there are guidelines that were published many years ago. I assumed that was already happening. I didn't realize that wasn't happening, but it was my expectation, it's in the guidelines that after an international trip goes out, that they come and they present to the board. So it was my intention to make that happen. I wasn't aware that it wasn't happening, so.
Does anyone remember?
I looked at the policy for trips, and one, I did know that was sort of a soft guideline. I didn't see a policy that was specific to international trips.
This is there's a guidebook, it was put together several years back. I can give you a copy of it, but in there it says that when the trip comes back, they have to make a presentation to the board.
So
about
that's
what they
more
learned.
from the internal documentation.
Yes.
But in looking at our policy, actually, under trips, one of the things I was going to mention is I think we need to have a subsection more related to international trips, because our trips are very, like the way the policy reads, if you're going to the zoo or if you're going abroad, other than to say, like the time frame and the, like bringing it forward through the system, there's no differentiation really. And I think that, maybe people disagree, but I think there's a lot more to consider approving an international trip.
I
So
would agree.
maybe policy
I
can
would
look
agree.
at how to put in a paragraph or two more that's more specific towards
I
international
think
trips.
what we will do, my suggestion to Barbara would be, the next time we have policy, which is probably going to be in January, I would imagine we'll have some policies coming up. We'll include our trip policy to include that subsection, and put some language out there for the board to consider.
Okay, but it's not too late to ask for some kind of report
Oh, yeah, no,
from
it was
trips that are
happening.
being
Yes,
approved.
it will happen.
Or have been approved, the
Yes.
Spanish trip that we did approve already.
I do remember some presentations
Yes, there
over
have
the
been,
years,
yes.
but not, I don't think it was every trip.
Okay.
It was kind of.
It was my understanding it's supposed to be every trip, and that's what I was,
The Italian exchange always came. Gloria always came and spoke.
You know, COVID.
Yes,
made things
COVID,
Right.
different.
COVID made like a little crazy.
Yeah, before COVID, we used to get a presentation, and
Science trips.
each child would get up and, say his or her
well, you
part.
can expect that again.
Okay.
So I know, I was one of the board members, I don't know, maybe I was the only one that had a lot of questions about the Ireland-England trip. Was there any explanation as to why why they're doing it this year and not next year?
No explanation to me, no, as to why they want to do it this year as
So I
opposed to
just
next
find,
year.
I find it very hard, like, it's a very tight timeline for parents at Christmas time to now be looking at shelling out $4,000 for their child to go to something in March. It's not a lot of planning time. For such a lengthy trip of planning, since it's travel and tourism. And I know, like, I expressed my concerns with you and Al, but I'm just putting it out there, because at first, I honestly thought it was a typo. That was my first question. Is this really for this year? Because it just did not seem, we've never received anything within 3 months to approve for an international trip, ever.
Do you
So,
think they're just waiting for approval and that they're kind of just circling the airport, so to speak? The 20 people that
well.
may have it on their radar?
I'm gonna say this, if there's 20 people that they've already spoken to that are committed to it, that's wrong also, because
Well-
and we have excluded trips because of the behavior that has been put
Okay.
forth by faculty, because they did stuff like that, because that's not the way
You
you go
asked-
about an international trip.
Correct, and you asked that question.
Yes,
My
I
answer
did.
to you was that did not happen.
Right, it didn't
Okay.
happen. So, no, that's what I'm saying, like, I don't think anybody circled the wagon for this one, I hope not, I truly do hope not, but it just, to me, seems like 3 months is a very, very, very short time
Do you
frame.
need visas for either of these countries?
No,
No,
No.
just passport.
no.
I also expressed the same concern over the time frame and the monetary from the standpoint of really like an equity, that if somebody were interested in doing it, like we're kind of handicapping people who don't have this kind of funds, and timeframe, there's not usually that 9 months to a year. That 9 months has been pretty standard. I mean, a lot have been a year, but to be paying this off every month, which would, or for a student to get a job to help pay, or any of those kind of things, I don't have an issue with the content of the trip. I have an issue of the time frame of this coming for this school year as opposed to next year.
Maybe it's something I can look
you
at.
know-
I mean, in that, those guidelines for the international trips, the internal guidelines that I mentioned before, perhaps there can be something in there about that it needs to be planned, I don't know, 9 months ahead of time, and after that, then you can't ask for it for this year. I'll take a look at that and bring it back to the board and give you some suggestions.
The other is tight, but it's also, I mean, this is, the England-Ireland is one of the most expensive trips I've ever seen on an agenda. We rarely go over $4,000. I mean, the expensive ones tend to be 35, 36. And so, partnering all of that and of course, yes, it is it is a parental decision, a family decision to do it, but I also, have trouble putting forth something that I think really is limiting families from doing it.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, not for nothing, I mean.
Do we have a
First
minimum
is
that
the
we
day
would
of
need
travel, and
to
the 8th is the
send
day
this
of
trip?
travel.
I know
That's on that would be within their contract with them.
Right, so within the contract, it
sometimes
depended on how
it's
many
8, sometimes
chaperones
it's
they
10.
take for how many students they have and everything. So I think right now, I think you need to start out with, I would assume 10. I would assume 10, but
But
again,
that
I.
also depends on the chaperone.
It depends on the chaperone, like, yeah, so like that, you know, like that definitely plays into it, but I don't know, I just thought it was a hefty price tag, and for somebody who has gone to those countries before, I think that's a hefty price tag. I will not lie, that's a hefty price tag.
Question, on the request for approval, it's dated October 16th, but we're
Uh-huh.
just seeing that now.
Uh-huh.
Why is that?
That's when probably when they started writing the proposal, but I didn't have it until a week ago, so that's when it made it
That's
to
my
me.
mistake, yeah.
And that's part of it, like sometimes there's a back and forth.
Mhm.
So that's probably not that unusual that it goes through the system. It will be tight from October to, you know, as well.
'Cause you
I mean,
might have that really-
the other trip is tight too.
The other
I'm not
trip is
trying
tight, but-
to diminish, but it's.
It's 3 months added, like you have 3
And
months.
it's a different cost, and it's a
Right,
different
right.
housing, and it's,
Yeah.
and it is, they are actually engaged in a.
They're in
a
school.
learning.
They're in
Right.
school,
Yeah,
yeah.
consortium,
Right.
so it's a, you know, it's a different appeal as well, to the type of, you know.
I mean, you may not even get, you may be a child that says, yes, I want to go ahead and I do this, and your parents may say yes to it, but you may not get your passport in time if you don't have a passport. Then what? You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors that I think were misstepped in giving us this
I hear
info.
your point, I'm just looking at the actual parameters. First of all, and just if somebody could fill me in, when this goes for approval, is there anticipated student involvement already? Is this like there's the buzz
No,
already? Do they anticipate?
Students know that there's trips in the plans, but there's been no signups.
There's no
so we don't
signups,
know.
there's no,
We
okay.
don't know.
And I'm just looking just as far as application, they did follow, and maybe something we need to look down the future. It says here at least 2 months in advance. It is at least, it fell within the umbrella that we asked them to comply with. I'm not discounting what you're saying as not being valid, but then I think it's, if we have these concerns, it's something we have to maybe
I would
approach
agree.
as far as
I would agree.
readdressing
I think
policy.
The policy definitely needs to be concerned.
Because the 2 months is really like for a daily
Well, the
trip,
2 months
right?
too, she's saying request for approval of out-of-state or overnight field trips. This is more than out-of-state. This is
That's the
out of
second
country,
one, yes.
right.
And to,
Right, it's not.
It's not going to New York.
but to her point, but it isn't her fault. This was all
No.
she had to work with. This
Right.
was
Well-
this was the parameters she was given.
Well,
I'm not saying you don't have valid concerns at all. I'm just
But
saying we
this is-
need to address because she did follow the paperwork.
And I would agree.
well,
That's all I'm
but
saying.
one of the people involved has planned an international trip before. So it's not that there is nobody involved in the process that doesn't know what is anticipated in the process as well.
Well, we can leave the trip and see how it unfolds. I
Or we
mean,
can just vote as we want to vote.
right, well, right, no, we'll leave it on the agenda, and
Oh, yeah.
if you choose
No, I'm
to,
not saying take it off the
Right.
agenda, but I mean,
And
like, yeah, but I'm just,
we'll
I
just
don't
see if
know,
they
it
can
just,
pull
to
it off.
me,
You're
it just did
you're
not,
voicing questions
Absolutely.
and concerns.
it did not seem like
I
a
think they all
normal
need
thing
to
that
be
came
addressed,
across.
and I plan to do that.
that's all the questions I had on consent. Does anyone else have any other issues that they want to discuss on consent agenda before we go to vote? Trudy?
Claudia?
Okay, so I'm abstaining from 9A for the October 30th meeting because I was not present. And for 11A, for the England to Ireland trip, I'm going to say no. And for everything else, I'm going to say yes.
No.
No.
Uh-huh,
Everything else you're going to say?
yes.
Oh, yes, okay. I didn't hear the yes part. I was looking at you waiting, saying,
Everything else I'm just gonna ignore.
okay, we have,
Anticipation is
I was like, come on already. Abstain from 9A and no for 11A. Okay, we have that. Thank you, Claudia.
Alan?
yes.
John?
Yes to everything. I'm going to abstain from the trip as well. England trip.
Abstain?
11A or 11A and B, John?
11 A and B.
A and B.
So it's abstaining?
Yes.
Okay. Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
I need to abstain from can can I say ditto to Claudia, but I need to abstain also from the October 30th meeting.
9A.
9A, thank you. 9A, October 30th. I can acquiesce or say yes or whatever you want me to do on November 13th. And 11A, I'm voting no.
11A,
Voting no.
just
Right.
A, not B.
Just A, not B, and I'm saying yes to everything else.
Thank you. Al?
I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Just seems easier at this point.
It wasn't gonna change anything.
Okay, we have a couple of votes here outside of consent. The first vote is under 12 miscellaneous, it's B. It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve the second reading of the following policies, the 4000 series, 4151.1 with an asterisk, personal illness and injury, health and hardship certified staff, and then 4251.1 with an asterisk, personal illness and injury, health and hardship non-certified staff. Under 6000 series, 6142.2 asterisk, English as a second language bilingual programs. Does anyone in the public have any comments on either of these policies? Everybody on the board?
I have a question about the English as a second language policy. Did we fix the verbiage in there as
So
opposed to
There's nothing
ELL?
to fix. What I was told was that the program is ESL, it continues to be ESL, but we refer to the students in the program as English language learners. Yeah,
That was brought up
I
probably,
asked it again too, because I was
Yeah.
like, what, I was like.
Yeah, it
oh,
was very confusing.
ELL twice and ESL twice,
yes,
right?
3 or 4 people brought that up,
Yeah.
so Dr. Albro did confirm that it is correct.
yeah.
So may I have a motion on these policies?
I'll second.
Barbara and then Doug. And Trudy, when you're ready.
Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes?
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Al?
Yes. I have a second vote here, under 13, Finance and District Operation, letter H. The superintendent, at the request of the board secretary, recommends that the board accept line item transfers and the adjustments as listed in the financial report for the months ending November 2023. In addition, approval of transfer greater than 10% from account number 11000221. Do I always read this, all this stuff? I don't think so.
Accounts as you see before
Okay,
you.
a line item transfers. May I have a motion, please?
I'll move on.
Okay,
I'll second.
Stephanie. Okay. Trudy, please.
Doug, did you second?
Stephanie, I have Stephanie down here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Claudia?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes?
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Al?
Yes. Okay, may I have a motion to move executive, items from the executive session, and I'll read them off, over to the regular agenda, please? Motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll have Stephanie with the motion and Doug with the second. And let me read, we're moving the entire agenda over. Trudy, just so you know.
Okay. Entire agenda?
We'll do this.
Is
Do you
is
want
the
to include the,
addendum,
you can include it if you want.
yeah, let's include the addendum. Should I read it, or is it, let me read that after I cover the items that were on the executive. Okay. Let me find my way here, excuse me one second. Okay, the school calendar, sick day payout, staff additional hours, staff translator hours, staff medical leave of absence, additional work schedules, staff retirement, appointment of a volunteer coach, leave replacement approval, and there was an addendum, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board rescind the appointment of the following coaches for the 23-24 school year. And there's an assistant indoor track coach, Stephen Iafrede, and strength and conditioning coach, winter, is DJ Nymphius. Okay, may I have,
Could I just ask you to read the retirements?
Oh,
'Cause
sure.
Typically, we do
Certainly.
those separate one there. Could you just read?
Been carried over.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
It is recommended by the superintendent that the board accept with regret the resignation due to retirement of the administrative assistant Deborah Hook. Did I pronounce that properly? Effective June 30th, 2024. And there's a second retirement. It is recommended by the superintendent that the board accept with regret the resignation due to retirement of executive secretary to the superintendent, Liz Elfring, effective July 31st, 2024. We thank them both for their service to the Riverdale Regional School District, and especially Liz and Dr. Albro's office.
Absolutely.
I guess we're ready for a vote, Trudy. Correct?
Claudia?
Yes, and I wish both ladies their retirement, a wonderful retirement. They deserve it.
Alan?
Yes.
John?
Yes?
Annette?
Yes.
Tracy Ellen?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Al?
Yes. This brings us to new business, old business. Board discussion. We can lump them all together and have at it. If anyone has anything to say. New business, old business, we can include the referendum and do a clean sweep here. Anyone have anything to say about the referendum?
Could somebody call me in the morning so I could remember to vote?
No, you won't need a phone call.
I keep going, I'm like, wait, I have to vote in the morning. I'm
Yes.
thinking about my day.
The polls open at 6 a.m.
I will not be there at 6 a.m.
and they close at 8. So we have all day, and everybody out there, and the River Edge and Oradell community has all day to go vote, and please do it.
Call everybody you
It's the
know.
normal voting
Normal polling location.
Yes,
because that's been asked a few times.
yes, your
Yes.
usual polling location. Should be on your sample ballot
It
too, if
is
you
on the
received
sample
one.
ballot, and
The
so is
sample
the,
ballot was, we needed, they should have had an interpretation.
I would
Because
agree
the
with you.
sample ballot, if you read the sample ballot, you don't, like, it makes no sense.
I agree.
I will
our
say.
question, our question?
Yeah,
But-
well, yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
It's
Um,
unfortunate that the board doesn't control that. That's
Right.
the county that gives it to us. That's the way they word it, and that's
Right.
the way we're
No,
required. to
but
put it.
usually like when there's like other
That's
things on
that's
the.
like a public bond.
Yes,
Right, the public
interpretive
bond, there's
statements,
like the
yes.
interpretation, we needed
The
the
layperson
Yeah,
interpretation.
You're
exactly.
absolutely right.
But I was at Cherry Hill Friday morning, and that you were at Roosevelt Friday morning, and I think we both got the sense that there are a lot of really well-informed people, and that a lot of people, you know, were then chatting with other people who were like, huh? And they'd be like, oh, you need to, you know, there are a lot of people that have been accessing the information that's been provided to them, and going on the website and looking at the literature and all of that. And so that's really nice that people are engaging in finding out what's happening. And while I'm not on social media, I do know that there's been conversations on social media, and there are a lot of lay people and non-board people and non-district personnel who are out there interpreting for other people who may be misinterpreting information, what the correct information is.
Right.
So that's been really nice to see that.
That's a good sign.
To see that the community is really engaging, and hopefully that will lead to positive results for the community tomorrow.
I would be, I mean,
On Friday, when OPS let out, I was handing out the trifold, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I know. And, you know, one woman threatened me. She goes, you better make sure it passes. I said, that's not up to me. I said, get your friends out there. But, yeah, people do know about it. And I'll tell you, if they don't know about it, they have to be living in a cave, because I don't know what more we could have done to, it's on the electronic billboard, it's, you know, we have banners up, I mean, signs, so.
do we have the, I know we do have the, well, I know you can have the ability, let's put it that way. But I'd be interested when this is all over, just to like look at the website for the referendum and see how much traffic it actually
I was just thinking,
got.
yeah.
like to just look at the statistics, because I think it's actually would be useful if we were able to drive that much traffic to see then how we would look at either social media or our communications with the community to drive them to, you know, whether it's the website or other things we do, if it was successful in some way.
I'll see what we can find out.
It's not 100% accurate because, you know,
Yeah, I've
one
looked at it
person
100
could go back
times
5
myself,
times,
so.
you know.
Yeah,
Like
but there's-
YouTube, it's like watching the same video over and over again. It just
Well, see, I'd have
calculates.
to go to my son who does this for a living, but I know there's things with cookies and you can track people and know like
IP
exactly
addresses,
like
I
where they went from our site to another site.
I don't allow cookies.
I don't eat cookies.
I just publicly want to say there are certain members of the board, and I guess all of you, being relatively new, I was a worker bee, but I felt very confident when people asked questions that I was well informed to share the information. The people who financially put this together, and I was there, we all asked really well thought out questions, being able to tell others how, you know, fiscally responsible we were, and there were always answers that you either provided as a district from the super's office, the fact that we constantly updated the FAQs on the website. There were so much proactive things that so many of you did on the board that it was easy to, you know, being proud to be a part of something that's so important and yet so well organized and thoughtfully developed and pushed. And I know some of you were really tireless in getting the message out. And yeah, I would hand out flyers, but others of you were really driving us to, you know, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but I think some of you really were out there pushing and really organized. I think Alan and Al and Dr. Albro, but I don't want to leave anybody out, but I just felt like I learned a lot. So it was easy to sell to those parents because I had the information that I was a part of, but it was driven by some smart finance and people who have done things in the past. And I'm looking forward to a positive outcome tomorrow. We have a wonderful community, and they were very positive. We always got positive feedbacks or really thoughtful questions, and to be able to have answers to thoughtful questions, there's a concept that I think we all should, you know, be proud of. So,
Melissa,
Anyway,
Joanna,
thank you.
either of you folks 18?
No, I know Mr. Pepe calmed down all this.
Yes,
Like,
we,
last like 20 minutes of the school day today, he calmed
Yeah.
down most of the seniors.
I talked to them, and we got good questions from them too,
Good.
from our seniors.
Good.
Some really good questions.
The last thing I do want to add is, after tomorrow, I know I have quite a few signs out. If we would just all kind of collect the signs and, you know, put them in your trunk. Yeah, don't be like the politicians and they sit out there for months on end. Just clean up any signs that you put out. I mean, if they're on someone's property, I'm sure they'll take care of them. I was out at night under the cover of darkness leaving signs in places that I was a little questionable about. The towns, or at least Oradell, was very nice to leave them where I put a lot of the signs. So I will be collecting as many signs. Well, just the darkness was enough, I think, but,
That's 5 o'clock, you know.
yeah, well, it was after dinner. I had dinner and I went out. But let's clean up after Tuesday if we have signs out.
So in the past, the elementary schools, especially when they would have to do their budgets, they would always put notice on their signs. When it passed, they would put balloons up to like, just
Thank you.
indicate
Thank you,
to
yeah.
people like a thank you and to let them
We can
know
do
that
that on
it has
social
passed.
media.
We had an electronic.
So
sign, that'd be
it would be really great if we had an electronic sign, but we don't. So I'm just
She always
saying,
finds a way to get that in.
That's
I know,
next.
she loves
That's
to do
coming,
this,
so
whenever
just-
she can.
That and humanities,
Yes.
and maybe the beehives.
No, the bees are mine. Bees and humanities are mine.
She'd give you an electronic sign if you gave her BS.
Yeah, I would. We can have a chat offline. But if there's a way that maybe, you know, like especially where you have the banners stick, like, because a lot of people are curious. And a lot of people will get information from social media, but then there's some people that just really don't do social media, or they do it once a day, but they're still kind of curious. So it
We
would
have
just be like a
emoji
nice.
fat heads, and we could just stick one on top of that, the yay or the nay, you know.
Right, yeah.
But
But it would be nice, like, if we could just give some indicators
Yeah,
to
like a
where we
thank you
place certain
voters,
things,
yes,
yes, yeah. And like a follow-up email or something that just says, you know,
Send out a newsletter.
What time do the
yeah,
polls?
Thank you.
something, yeah, exactly.
6 a.m. It's done. May I have, oh, no, wait, public comments. Do we have any, did I do that? Do we have any public comments? Anybody behind the cameras have anything to say? No? You get smiles, though, that's
wanna go
good.
home.
May I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make that motion.
Claudia, second?
I'll second.
Alan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have, what time? 8:45.